Hello, surprise! Today we are reviewing Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle. What do you think of the movie, Big Pete?
I think it's super awesome. I would say this is a super spy movie with
proper
style.
spy movie. A proper spy movie.
With
right?
style, I would say. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the actors.
Yep.
This movie has more, I would say, superstars.
It's a star-studded affair, actually.
Yeah. So we have people from Julian Moore, of course, Colin Firth. He's back, you know the posters, everything, everywhere. He's everywhere,
There's no
so you know
surprise.
that he didn't die. And
There's a lot more American roster this time around. You have Halle Berry, Channing Tatum,
Yes,
Jeff Bridges,
and
also Pedro Pascal, right?
all right, one of the surprise actor that you like most is Elton John.
I have to say that I never liked Elton John until this movie. So
Yeah, you'll be surprised what character he plays, and like I said, you go and watch it.
yeah, no spoilers for now. But Elton John has the best lines in the movie.
Okay, let's talk about the action scenes or cinematography. What do you think about the movie?
Well, comparing to Kingsman 1, I would say that the action scenes this time around is done so much better. If you watch Kingsman 1, I felt that Kingsman 1, the action scenes were a bit over the top and it felt a bit cliche. But Kingsman 2, the action scenes were done much better, right? Especially the opening sequence where the cars were drifting around London. That to me was so much better, right? Throughout the movie, of course, it's a spy movie with plenty of action. There's nothing that you keep you at the edge of the seat.
Okay, for me, I would say the action scenes, that most memorable action scenes for me is the last part, right? The fighting scenes, or I would say the action scenes, and how they choreograph the movement is flow and movement is very smooth and very interesting, very exciting. When you look at it, actually, you feel the action itself.
I think what you meant was how the director has carried on his trademark. It feels like a single shot from start to finish, where the climactic ending, right?
The first one was a bit lesser and it looks a bit more fake because of the CG. Second one has some CG flaws that you will notice because of the body or the things that they move around. But you wouldn't mind because the fight scenes are choreographed in a way to be comically funny and
at the same time entertaining. Right? I mean, obviously for Kingsman 2, the movie was quite long, over 2 hours long, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, this being a spy movie, there's no real plot. This is not a drama, obviously, right? People go in there to watch all the action sequence, right? But the screenplay itself, it felt not too draggy, right? The sequence were all timed quite nicely, actually.
there are some scenes that you feel a bit bored because it's not full action all the way. Because it focuses very much also on the story.
The main character, Exy, right?
Because Exy now has a wife or girlfriend or wife, that he has to balance his life between a spy and his personal life.
Yeah.
By right, as a Kingsman, he must not. I mean, he can't have
no ties
relationship.
to the outside world, right? Which is interesting because if you look at all the other spy movies, they hardly spend any time to build the character's backstory, right? There hardly shows any struggle of the main character of his social and family life with his work. But in Kingsman 2, they actually spend some time to...
And I like the part where the relationship that he built with Colin Firth carries forward to the second one, and the role that Colin Firth plays here is a very different role. Surprisingly, you know that he lost his memory and stuff like that. You will know that he will regain back his memory, but in which way and what will he do?
Yes.
Even after gaining his memory, he has lost some. He can't really fight properly. That's the funny part that they put it in.
Spoiler alert, sorry, but there's a spoiler.
It's out in the cinema, so just go and watch it. Next, we are going to talk about the villain, right?
Yes.
For me, this part, the villain is Julianne Moore, and her name is Poppy, and she builds an empire by selling drugs, and she wants to, get bigger and more.
She wants to be recognized.
Yeah, she wants to be
right?
recognized. I would say I still prefer Samuel L. Jackson.
The crazy ass motherfucker, right?
Both are psychopath in their own way, but Samuel L. Jackson carries a very crazy, at the same time, a sane and insane character in that part one.
Yeah, I suppose in Kingsman 1, the villain played by Samuel Jackson, he really does dial it to 11, right? He's really crazy.
Yes.
You can show from his physical body and his language as well. But in Kingsman 2, the villain, which is Julianne Moore, she's a bit more polished, a bit more ladylike. So maybe that's why you didn't quite like her as a villain. Maybe not to say don't like her, but she's not comparable to Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, maybe I actually also compare the sidekicks of
Yes.
the villain sidekicks. Yeah, you have actually sidekicks for villain as well.
That is
so
true.
the part 2, that robotic guy, I mean, what's his name?
Yeah, the sidekick, actually, it's not too bad. I actually quite like him as well.
And you have some robot dogs, right?
Yeah. And the soundtrack for the movie, I have to say, it's pretty well done.
I couldn't remember much of the tracks, but when you actually reflect back, because of the whole action scene it carries you, you get the feel that that's very good.
Okay, so what do you think? Kingsman 2 versus the first Kingsman, right? Obviously, Kingsman 1 was a bit of an origin story.
Yes. Kingsman 2 is equally as fun as, I would say it's more fun than Kingsman 1, but the villain, I prefer Kingsman 1.
Okay, for me, to be very frank, I really hated Kingsman 1. I didn't like Kingsman 1 because the actions were a bit over the top and the screenplay was just really, really draggy. But Kingsman 2 just surprised me. They just basically took all the good parts from Kingsman 1 and dialed it to 11 for Kingsman 2. So there was never a dull moment for Kingsman 2 for me. There was a good mixture of action,
Violence,
comedy, and there's a good roster of star-studded cast. And speaking of star-studded cast, right?
Alright.
You will notice that Halle Berry plays a very small role in this movie, and that towards the end, that's where you realize that it was setting her up for
and Channing Tatum as well.
Yeah, they play a very small role, right? Despite them being such big stars. So I think that's a very good setup for them for Kingsman 3. There's definitely going to be a Kingsman 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, after going through Kingsman 2, I would say that, Kingsman 2 is the new James Bond for us, right?
True.
Compared, if you look at the actions, the stunts are just really way over the top. It was entertaining as well. Yeah.
How would you rate this movie?
From 1 out of 10, for 10 being the top, I will give it a 9.
Wow, that's
Also
high.
because of Elton John, right? Elton John has some very good lines. So like I said, I like how the combination of the action, the comedy sequence, it was just nicely timed.
I
in this
would
movie.
agree with you. There's actually a lot of surprise. Elton John, Channing Tatum, Halle Berry. Channing Tatum was super hilarious when he starts to dance.
Yeah. And, and of course, I will say that this is really a proper spy movie, right? Because from what we remember, when we look at spy, we think about James Bond, right? He was always very elegant, very gentleman-like
Yes.
in his pursuit for the villain, right?
And what you will want to see most are the props
Yes.
and the gadgets itself, right?
That is correct.
So this movie has a lot of cool gadgets, which works very well.
Yeah.
You know, like some of James Bond movies, like those things are just one off, and it's quite lame, I would say sometimes.
I suppose why we love the props was because we are so used to James Bond, right? They will reveal what are the secret gadgets, so you already know beforehand, and it doesn't feel surprised. You don't feel exciting.
This
But in
one
Kingsman, they don't bother to tell you what are the gadgets that they have.
They just take a perfume bottle and throw it as a bomb.
And the Louis Vuitton briefcase, that was a very nice thing as well.
Yeah.
So all in all, I will highly recommend it. Even if you just go into the movie and watch the first 10 minutes for the opening car chase sequence, I think, that was really, really worth it. Yeah.
And you have a submarine car.
Yeah.
All right, I would rate it about 8 because there's some flaws in the movie. I'm a bit picky on the scenes of CG and all these things. It could improve much better from there. So 8, I would say, is quite high as well.
Okay, so thank you for watching. Let us know your comments.
Yeah, and please go and watch it.
Yeah, Carpe signing off.
Bye.